Hi and welcome along to AFTV. Time to preview the game Rennes versus Arsenal in the Europa League. Big game for Arsenal coming up on Thursday, 5 to 6 kickoff if you're over here in the UK. First of all, let me address something because I know there was a lot of Gooners really upset with what took place regarding this game. Now, the first leg of this game was supposed to have been at the Emirates, with the second leg taking place over there in Brittany in France. Now, UEFA, in their wisdom, decided to move the legs around because they got this rule where they don't want two teams playing in the same city on the same night. And Chelsea have also got a game on the same night in the Europa League. So they switched our leg after initially announcing that it's going to be Rennes the first leg at home. They switched it. Now, a lot of fans had already, on the announcement of the game, had already gone onto various websites and booked flights and booked hotels. And, you know, it's a regular thing that fans do because if you go to any of these away games, you know that as soon as the game's announced, as soon as the airlines cotton onto it, as soon as the hotels cotton onto it, their prices can, well, not just double, sometimes treble. You know, a flight that you could have got for like under £100 suddenly becomes £300. You know, a hotel that you could have got for £80 for the night suddenly doubles to £160. So what a lot of fans do is as soon as it's announced, they'll get on to the website straight away, book their hotels, book their flights. However, UEFA, after announcing it, a little while later decided that, oh, actually we're going to switch it. Meaning that there's a lot of fans out there that have lost money on this. And for me, if a fan can prove that, UEFA should be refunding them for this. This, again, is yet another one of these things where these people, they just don't give a toss about fans and they're not thinking about fans. So what they should have done is when they announce it, as soon as they announce it, they should have said, oh, it's on the same day with the two English clubs, or if this, or even say in advance, if this happens, it could result in a switch. And then that way fans are aware of what's going on. But that's, listen, I just had to raise that because I know there's been a lot of fans really upset about it. But listen, it's a big game for Arsenal, a huge game against Rennes. And again, as I say in all of these games, Rennes cannot be taken for granted. We did it in the last game against Bate Borisov. We went to Bate and we took them for granted. We thought it was going to be a stroll in the park. We were already thinking about how we destroyed them the last time we played them. And we went there with a really bad attitude. The Bate Borisov players were really up for the game. And they beat us 1-0 on the night and gave us a potentially really tricky tie. Listen, we breezed through it, winning 3-0 in the second leg. But it could have been all avoided. And Rennes are a much better team than Bate Borisov. You know, they beat Real Betis in the last round, which was a real shock because a lot of people thought that Betis, particularly after the first leg, where Betis got 3 away goals, a lot of people thought that Betis were going to cruise through. Betis on paper a lot better than Rennes, but Rennes won the game. And I don't care the fact that they're mid-table. I think they're about 10th in Ligue 1. That goes all out of the window when it comes to this game against Arsenal. You know that these teams are up for these games. They're going to be really up for it. This is the first time Rennes have reached this stage in any European competition. They're playing Arsenal, which, you know, everybody in France, in particular because of Arsene Wenger, Thierry Henry, Perez, they know Arsenal. Arsenal is like many people in France's favourite club. So for all of these players playing for Rennes, it's going to be a huge game. It's going to be like a cup final for them. And we cannot take it for granted. I was watching Real Madrid. And listen, who's better in European competitions than Real Madrid? No one. With their history, with what they've won over the years, get knocked out by Ajax. And that was after, you know, having 2 away goals from the first leg. Take it for granted and you will go out. End of. Simple. And also, Rennes are going to be driven to win this game, not just because they're playing Arsenal and it's an English team and, you know, for a lot of their players are going to be in the shop window and they're going to really want to do well against an English club. But also, there's one player in particular who's going to really want to prove a point, and that is Hatem Ben Arfa. Now, Hatem Ben Arfa, I'm sure you guys remember him from when he played in England for Newcastle, scored some fantastic goals. I've got to say, one of the most talented players I've ever seen. However, we know that his attitude and his behaviour meant that he's never achieved the heights of where he should have got. But on any given day, he can be as good as any Arsenal player on that pitch. He is an exceptional talent. Now, he's going to be really motivated to do well, because when he used to play for PSG, when Unai Emery took over as manager, they were at loggerheads. To say they didn't like each other is an understatement. Basically, Unai Emery froze him out of the team. We know what Unai Emery's like. We've seen what he's done with Mesut Ozil. If you don't work hard for the team, you ain't playing. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care how much skills you've got. He doesn't care how many goals you score. We've seen it, as I said, with Ozil. If you don't work hard enough, whoop. And if you thought the Ozil thing was bad, you should have seen what he'd done with Ben Arfa. Basically, just froze him out of the team completely. There was even one time when Ben Arfa, he came and had this cake, put it online, celebrating a year since he played in the team. He just got completely frozen out. And, a lot of people say that he was one of the reasons that, that Unai Emery ended up getting sacked as well, because, he obviously was in the dressing room and apparently was quite liked in the dressing room, and a lot of people in that dressing room weren't happy with the way in which Unai Emery treated him. So he will have a point to prove. And in the last round against Real Betis, he played really, really well, scored a goal, created an assist. And as I said, if we're not watchful of him, he is capable of turning up and really, giving us a hard time. And they've got a couple of other decent players. MB Niang's the one, again, that stands out. Forward, remember he used to play for Watford, on loan from Torino. There was a lot of Premier League clubs. Apparently Arsenal even linked with him before he went on loan to Rennes. I think he scored in the last round. Again, a player that could worry Arsenal if Arsenal are not on the ball. However, we know that we've got lots and lots of players that can worry Rennes as well. They'll be very wary of us. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who will definitely start in this game because, of course, Alexander Lacazette is suspended, stupidly got himself sent off against Bati Borisov, so won't be able to feature in either of these games. So he won't play it. I presume we'll just keep him back for the big game against Manchester United on Sunday. That means Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to play in both legs up front, and it's going to be a lot of responsibility on him to get the goals. And after missing that penalty against Tottenham, obviously he's going to be still probably got that on his mind and really, really driven and motivated to get a couple of goals in the game. So that'll be good for him. And I fully expect Aubameyang to bounce back if we give him the service. Ozil, I suspect, will come into this game as well, especially after Ramsey played, really worked his socks off in the North London derby. It could be in Unai Emery's thinking to play Ramsey against Manchester United and play in a similar style to what they played against Tottenham, and keep Ozil for this game. And maybe Ozil plays in both legs of these Europa League games. And again, Ozil, another guy who's got a lot to prove. He's still on his way back. He's still winning back the favour of the boss. Another chance to prove himself that he should be starting in this team. And will Denis Suarez get a look in? As I said, it was a really tough game against Tottenham, and we've got a really tough game coming up at the weekend. Will Unai Emery be looking at it and thinking, maybe I'll need to arrest maybe an Iwobi or a Mkhitaryan? And Denis Suarez is pretty lively in all the little cameos that he's had. Maybe he might get a full 90-minute run out in this game. So that's going to be really, really interesting. But listen, I think we've got to go there. We can't afford to lose that game, in my opinion. And it is really, really important that we get that away goal. We didn't do that in the last game against Bati Borisov. And it can be very costly when you don't have that away goal, because it means that Rennes could come to England with the very dangerous Hatem Ben Arfa and Niang and get a goal, and then we need two. And we really do not need that next week. So let me give you my team that I'd go with for the game and see if you agree with this. Cech, of course, has been playing all of these Europa League games. Fully expect him to continue in goal. It's his last season. He retires at the end of the season. I can't see the manager leaving him out. At right back, I'm going to bring in Maitland-Niles. I was really tempted to keep Mustafi in. I thought Mustafi played really well at right back against Tottenham. Apart from, and we all know he does it in every game, that mistake that he made, which was very costly, gave away the penalty, even though it was offside, we know. But I think maybe the manager might be looking at it and thinking, I need to rest a couple of players ahead of that game against Manchester United. And he trusts Maitland-Niles, although Maitland-Niles had a very, very dodgy appearance against Bati Borisov. And if he's not on the money, as I said, up against guys like Ben Arfa, he'll have a torrid time. So he's going to have to be really concentrated on this game. I put Mustafi and Socrates in there, and I'd risk Koscielny. Koscielny's been excellent in recent games. He seems to be getting over his injury, and him and Socrates are really forming a great partnership, and I really want to see them in there against Manchester United. So I'd shift Mustafi back into midfield. Also, Monreal, I keep him back for the Manchester United game as well, because remember, in the previous game, we kept getting done out on the flanks. I'll bring Kolasinac in for this game. He'll be fresh, he'll be ready. Got to defend right, but we know going forward a really good player. Lucas Torreira got to come into the midfield. We know that Torreira is going to be suspended against Manchester United, so we may as well blow him out in these two games against Rennes. Granit Xhaka I bring in, I thought was excellent against Tottenham. Just in front of them, Mesut Ozil for me has to come back into the team. I give Ramsey a complete rest for this. And then a front three of Mkhitaryan. I keep him in there if his fitness is still good. He's on a great run of form at the moment. I don't think you want to disturb that. Aubameyang through the middle, and over on the other side, I would have Denis Suarez coming in instead of Iwobi. Give Iwobi a rest. We're going to need him as well for the weekend. So have all the other guys on the bench in reserve, but that would be my team, and that team is good enough to beat Rennes. However, as I said, it's about being disciplined, just as disciplined as when we played Tottenham. It's about getting that away goal. If we can do that, it's not going to be an easy game. If we can do that, we can progress in this tournament. This is a tournament that we can win. We're hitting a vein of form at the moment. Let's keep that form going. Let's try and go over there and get a win, and then go into that Manchester United game on a real high on Sunday, and really push from now till the end of the season on both fronts to try and win the Europa League and get into the top four. Let me know what you think your team, let me know what you think of my team, and let me know what your team is. Leave it in the comments below. Would you start with Suarez? Would you start Kolasinac? Would you bring back Maitland-Niles instead of Mustafi at right back? Would you play Ozil, or would you play Ramsey? Would love to hear from you. Leave it in the comments. But looking forward to the game. We're going to be out there tomorrow in France, so make sure you come and check us after the game. And before the game, we'll be around all the squares and that, so make sure you look out for us. First time I'm ever visiting this ground, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. Rennes versus Arsenal.